Yes, it's a new year, and you've probably made all kinds of promises to yourself. Well, today on Education Matters, business consultant Miss Liz Stewart will teach us how to set goals and stick to them. So get your paper and pencil, and let's get ready to make some things happen. Welcome inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Before we get into today's topic of setting goals and learning how to stick to them, I would like to pause to pay tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at this time. I want to say thank you to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Many of you attended rallies and gave opportunities or had opportunities to provide service to another individual or to those who are in need. That's what it means to keep his dream alive. Many of us remember that monumental speech that impacted the world and changed the world, the I Have a Dream speech. But what are we actually doing to keep that dream alive? What are we actually doing to let freedom ring? You know, as I think back to what Dr. Martin Luther King stood for, nonviolent protests, equality for everyone, understanding how poverty definitely demolishes our society, I think back to one of his famous quotes, that the time is always right to do what is right. And I say, as we embark upon a brand new year, and we spend this time to remember his life and his legacy, are we doing what's right now? Or are we waiting for someone else to take on the helm of civil rights and justice? Well, it is up to us, because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also reminded us that in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And what that says to me is, if you are on this earth and you know that God has given you a charge to keep, that of unity, that of encouraging others to work together no matter their ethnicity, no matter their age, no matter their background, that it is incumbent upon us, you and me, to speak up, to give, to serve, to do whatever it takes to make this world a better place. And if we keep our words to ourselves, if we don't get out there and serve, then we will not be remembered for making a difference in this world today. For I truly believe that, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, that we must learn to live together as brothers, or we will perish together as fools. I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter to me what background you come from. If you are wealthy, if you consider yourself poor, if you are black or white, we are all put on this earth together. And sometimes I've often wondered, well, why did God make us different? And in my opinion, I believe he made us different to see if we could tolerate each other right here on earth, if we could love one another right here on this earth. Why should we be allowed to mess up heaven if we can't learn how to get along right here on this very earth? And I truly believe that our lives, as Dr. Martin Luther King stated, they begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. What matters to you today? Does it matter to you to become successful as an individual, or does it matter to you that we live on this earth in harmony, in peace, in unity, and that we're able to truly experience heaven right here on earth? I believe it's quite possible, but it means making some sacrifices. It means having courage. It means stepping out to do those things that maybe others are afraid to do. That's what it means, in my opinion, to keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., his dream alive. I want to issue a challenge today. And this challenge came to me one morning as I awoke. Don't waste time waiting, wishing, needing, dreaming. Make it happen. Just do it while you have time. What are you doing to make Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream a reality? What are you doing? Will you accept my challenge today? We'll be right back.
Need positive and constructive after-school activities for your children? Call the Martial Arts Academy in Aiken under the direction of International Olympic trainer Andrew Blocker. The Martial Arts Academy offers an award-winning approach to teaching Taekwondo. It's an effective approach to instilling discipline. The Martial Arts Academy also offers self-defense and fitness classes for all ages. Enroll today in this affordable program by calling 803-642-5723 or visit the studio at 2398 Whiskey Road in Aiken. The Martial Arts Academy, positively changing the lives of youth and adults.
The Will Lou Gray Opportunity School has been serving the beautiful Midlands of South Carolina since 1921. Our mission has evolved over the years, and we now specialize in helping young people move past their obstacles in order to achieve success. We give students opportunities to lead, to develop social skills, to become active in their communities, and to taste success. Don't settle for less than the absolute best for your life. Contact us today to take the next step in your journey toward success.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host, and we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. I'm very excited about today's guest. She's been a longtime friend of mine, Miss Liz Stewart, and she will help us learn how to set goals and stick to them. But before we hear from Miss Liz, I certainly want to thank the sponsors of Education Matters. We could not do it without them, and they are Westby's Products and Services, creator of Dawn Seasoning Delight, All-Purpose Seasoning and Marinade, the Will Lou Gray Opportunity School, saving the lives of many of our children every day. Also, the Barner Group, Educational Associates, providing after-school tutoring services in addition to a wide array of educational services. Magnolia Medical Center, Dr. Margot Muniz, thank you so much for your support and your words of wisdom, which we'll hear more from Dr. Margot later on in the broadcast. Also, brand new sponsor, and we have that commercial ready today, Bryant Insurance Agency, and you'll hear more from them. Again, thanks to all of my sponsors. Thank you, and we sure hope that more of you as individuals as well as businesses will help support Education Matters. Now we'd like to move into the Education Matters tip of the week. Every week we do provide you with a brand new tip, and here is this week's. I think it's very appropriate for today's topic. Take time to write down your goals for 2012. Statistics reveal that you are more likely to accomplish your goals when they are written and posted. Yes, that is this week's Education Matters tip of the week, and you'll hear more about that as Miss Liz Stewart elaborates on that particular point. All right? That sound means, I know my guest is smiling because she learned what that sound means earlier today in our radio broadcast, but that means it is Word of the Week time inside of Education Matters, and I love this particular Word of the Week. And it is rendezvous. Rendezvous, yes. Rendezvous is spelled R-E-N-D-E-Z-V-O-U-S. And that Z is silent, and this is a French word. And I'll use the noun version of rendezvous. That is what it is. And here is the definition. A prearranged meeting place, or the meeting itself. It can also mean a popular gathering place. And here is this week's sentence. Couples take time to plan a weekly or monthly rendezvous with just the two of you. I love that particular word of the week, and I sure hope my husband is listening to to that particular sentence. Actually, we have rendezvous all the time. So that is this week's word of the week. Now, as a reminder, the word of the week and the tip of the week can be found on my website, www.edmat, short for Education Matters.com. Go to that website for our on-air schedule, the tip of the week, the word of the week, videos, many things, new articles. Make sure you take a look. All right? Okay, without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the Education Matters studios again, Miss Liz Stewart, who is certainly no stranger to the Central Savannah River area and a very good friend of mine. Welcome to ASTV.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to jump right in because we have lots to cover. Miss Stewart was my guest on the radio broadcast earlier today and did a wonderful job. We had some excellent callers. So let's go ahead. I want you to know, viewers, that Miss Liz Stewart will take us through a slide presentation. So hopefully you have your paper and your pencils ready because you will receive some excellent information today. Well, Ms. Stewart, let's start off. What is a goal?
Well, a goal is a statement that defines the focus of the action we're going to take to get the results we want and need. And so if we focus on what we want to accomplish, it's almost reverse thinking. You start with the back. What's the result that you want? Then you make a statement that says, this is what I'm going to do. That's your goal. But the secret is it has to be focused on action.
Okay.
That's the difference between a dream or a resolution. And we all have these New Year's resolutions that by now have probably gone by the wayside.
You're stepping on my toes.
But a good goal is, I think, the key to unlocking your personal success.
All right. And I believe earlier today you said something that I think will resonate with our viewers, and that is a goal it needs to be something that has value for you as the individual.
Yes. You know, it requires action, and that means it's going to take our energy, our time. It's going to have to rise in priority, which means other things will get bumped. And so the first thing you have to decide is how important, how valuable is this? That's how we'll set priorities. Well, you know, there is time to do everything that is important as long as you have decided what's important.
All right, that's a good point. Well, I'm sure there are individuals watching today who just don't even understand what's the point in setting goals. You know, the next moment is not promised to us. The next year is not promised to us. So why can't we just live from day to day? Why do we set goals?
Well, you know, there's a variety of reasons. One of them is certainly that, I'm going to come back to this slide because the 8 characteristics are so important.
Yes.
But first of all, it gives us a higher level of achievement, of self-confidence. We will increase our performance, and there's some personal motivation. You know, when you are successful, when you have accomplished something, that gives you the impetus to want to try something else, something bigger, something better. You know, I've counseled some young women who had to drop out of high school, and when they get their GED, then they're thinking, well, I have done this, now maybe I can go to college. And so one success leads to another. So it's very, very important to have the personal satisfaction that you get from achieving something. And in fact, I think as parents, sometimes we have to be careful that we don't do too much for our children, or they're not going to get this personal satisfaction.
Excellent point. That's right. Earlier in our radio broadcast, we actually had a caller to call in and talked about another benefit or why we should set goals, in that even in the achievement of your own goals, you're impacting others and maybe even inspiring others to do the same thing. So
Absolutely. You know, I think with every success comes the responsibility to reach behind you and help the next one up another rung of the ladder.
Right. That's right.
And that is an obligation that I think you have with every success you're honored with.
All right, that's good. I know that in order for us to set goals, a very important word is that commitment word. And you have, I know, you talked about the 4 D's of commitment, which I thought were just absolutely dead on target. Describe those for us.
All right, there are 4, and the first one is direction. You know, you absolutely have to know where you're headed. Otherwise, any road will get you there. And, you know, this one's particularly important to me because things in life change, situations change, we're all influenced by external events. However, if you do these things, you can have some control over your life. Decisions will be made, changes will happen. The choice is yours, whether it's your choice, your decision, or whether it's somebody else's that's imposed on you. So direction is really important. The next one is dedication. You have to see the value of this goal, and it has to be important enough or you will not make it happen. And we'll go through the 8 characteristics, but certainly it has to be specific enough that it will make sense to you and to others as well.
Right.
And then you have to have discipline, and this, my friend, is probably the hardest one.
I would say
We
so.
have all struggled with having self-discipline, but it is so important. But I will tell you, it is easier if you set baby steps,
Right.
and not
That's
try
the
to
key.
do the whole thing at one time. You know, a few years ago, I every year when I don't set New Year's resolutions because it was self-defeating, but I attack something that either I'm afraid of or that's really new and different and way out there and out of character for me, or something I've never done before. And living in Aiken, I did not have a love relationship with horses. And I decided that that would be something I would overcome. But I didn't just say, I'm going to stop being afraid of horses, because that doesn't work. What I did was set a very disciplined plan to say, first I'm going to find someone that has a friendly, maybe old horse, gentle and kind. I'm going to find somebody who knows enough about teaching horseback riding that can help me get on the horse and not fall off, and I'll ride around the ring and I will have conquered this fear. So I defined it, and it was small baby steps. By the end of the year, I was riding. Now, I'm not going to go out for the equestrian Olympic team, but I did overcome that fear.
Sign up for polo.
No, I'm not doing polo either. They have big sticks. But the thing that is important about the self-discipline is by the time that you get through with understanding and achieving something, it gives you this empowerment to go and do something else. It's powerful.
Right.
And then the last one is you have to have a deadline.
Right.
If we don't have times imposed on this, it will go on for so long that it falls off the calendar.
Yes,
And
yes.
so those are the 4 Ds that I use in terms of defining the commitment to the goal.
Defining the commitment. If you have goals and you have not added some accountability, which these 4 Ds add some accountability,
Absolutely.
then you will not be committed to it. So we've got direction, dedication, discipline, and you've got to have a timeline. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
it can go on from year to year to year, and after a while, like you say, Ms. Liz,
Absolutely.
it drops off and you've not accomplished that goal. What's next for us?
All right, well, let me, I do want to talk about what some of the characteristics of goals are, because I think that it's very important. I have defined 8 characteristics that are critical to know if you've got a good goal. And before you start, you need to have a good goal.
And I like this because this definitely separates, or it shows for us the difference between a goal and a resolution.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, the first thing is it has to be written down.
Yes.
It's a wish list if it's not, okay? And if you write it down, there's something magic that happens when you start to write. You start to think.
Yes.
And it clarifies what you're talking about.
That's right.
All right?
Before you go to
Yes.
that next point, I just really want to underscore the importance of this particular characteristic. When you write that goal down, you are holding yourself accountable. You're making it real. If you post that goal or your goals on your refrigerator or on the mirror of your dresser, you're looking at that thing every day.
Every day.
It says, okay, this is what I've told myself I'm going to do. That's the difference between having a goal or thought in your mind that you can forget.
Right.
You might not have your specific strategies for it. So writing your goals down is extremely important.
Absolutely. It can become an affirmation.
Right. Exactly.
All right. And then the next thing is it has to be specific. You can't simply say, well, I think I'll lose weight this year. You have to say, I want to lose X number of pounds by X date.
Oh, that's why I haven't lost yet.
Yes, you and me both. Well, I haven't set that goal yet, but you do want to be as very specific as possible. That will
Okay.
really help you make it happen. And then it needs to be measurable. You won't know if you're successful if you haven't measured it.
Right.
Now, you have to be somewhat flexible. For example, it is a best guess at times. So if you say, well, I want to lose 3 pounds in, 2 weeks, well, if it takes you 3 weeks, you've still been successful. So be a little bit flexible with yourself on that.
Yes.
And then you want to make sure that it's controllable. There's a lot of things in life that are beyond our control. Do not set a goal that you can't control. For example, it would be pretty foolish for me to say, I want to be a female astronaut traveling to the moon when we have just dissolved our space program. So it has to be something that can, in fact, happen. It needs to be attainable. I see this a lot in the workplace. Managers will give employees these sort of, I call them mission impossible goals. And when the employees realize it's not doable, they stop trying.
That's exactly right.
So it must be attainable. And kids are like that too. You know that.
yeah.
That if they feel like, I can't do 500 problems for homework, they won't do any of them.
That's right.
So we have to make it very attainable.
And I actually love that example you gave because my son is in AP and honors courses, and one of the strategies that he has taken on, which I thought was brilliant, is if he comes home with a lot of homework in every subject, then what he will at least do is start with what he believes to be the easier
Yes.
homework assignment first. It gets you feeling confident, get something
Gives
under
him
your
that
belt,
success.
gives them that success, and so it's definitely a strategy or an approach to handling multiple
Absolutely.
goals. So that's good.
Well, at a young age, he's learned a valuable lesson.
Yes,
No
yes.
surprise there. But they must also be challenging. I mean, if you say I'm going to lose 2 pounds in 3 years, that's not a challenge. So, we have to have it so it's a little bit of a stretch or we won't grow. And you have to accept it as this is something I mean, I'm serious about it, it's important enough to me, and that's going to breed that commitment. And then when you're all done and you've had success, the last thing you want to do is review the goal, review how you got there, and figure out what worked, what didn't work, and how will I approach the next goal so that it's a lesson learned kind of approach.
That's
So if you
good.
do these 8 things, we will have a great goal.
And I want to give a personal example of a goal that I set for myself when I had my storefront, The Greatest Gift. One of the goals that I wanted to achieve was to win Small Business of the Year within 3 years. And I set that 3 years because in order for you to win that goal, win that award, one of the requirements was that you be in business at least 3 years. So that was a part of
That was that control.
The control. That's exactly right. Well, not only did I write that goal down, it became a part of my employee manual. Everyone else that I hired, all of my employees, knew this goal, and they became a part of that goal in helping to achieve that.
Oh,
and I
wonderful.
sit here today to say that we actually won
Yes.
Small Business of the Year and that 3rd year mark. And all of the goals that we set for the business were achieved because they were written, they were very specific, they were within our control. We all took ownership in achieving those goals. So your list definitely does work.
And you raised an added component, which is if you do this, it breeds teamwork.
Right.
other people cannot participate in helping you achieve your goals if they don't know what they are.
Right, exactly.
You have to define goals, define success. People can then help you be successful.
I like it. I like it a lot. Well, let's talk more. Let's continue this discussion. I know you want to share with us the different types of goals that are out there.
Yes, we do have a lot of different goals, and basically, I think if we look at the types of goals, they fall into 4 primary categories in our life. They're career-centered, family-centered, community, or self. Now, I want to take a moment and chat about self, though. We, and this particularly women, tend to put everybody else ahead of us, and we take care of ourselves the least. So one of the messages in setting personal self-oriented goals is that it's an empowerment, and if you go ahead and set goals that make you a better person, it's not being selfish, because it will just mean you have that much more to give to the other important people in your life.
That's right.
And so we do need to take care of ourselves. But within this basic model, I think there's some other things that are important. And each person I would encourage to just fill out however many points are important to them. It may be a spiritual goal that you have. It may be that I want to be of greater service to my community. It may be that physical, I do need to be healthier, I need to exercise, whatever it might be. And some personal growth. What do I need to learn?
Right.
You know, I think if we stop learning, we start dying.
That's right.
We absolutely have to be lifelong learners. So those are what I think are important in terms of the types of goals.
And I want to keep this diagram up on the screen for a moment, because it really does depict those areas in our lives with which we may be able to derive goals. There are people watching today who don't even know how to set goals, and we're going to tell you specific steps on that in just a moment. But in looking at this sphere of life, one component that is going to help us look at determining those goals is we must have time to reflect. There must be some time to sit back, think about ourselves, where we want maybe to make some improvements, maybe even looking at our strengths and how we can then take those and challenge ourselves into greater goals. So this is an excellent graphical depiction of how we can pull apart our lives to then set goals.
I have this as a template, and I look at it every month, and I make adjustments. And so that this is not overwhelming, let me say that while it's important to have a goal in each of these categories, how you balance that, and we're going to talk about balance, is really important. Don't feel like you have to do all of them all the time.
That's a wonderful point.
You know, one of my famous sayings, you know, I am absolutely convinced I can be the best wife in the world, I can be the best businesswoman in the world, I can be a great mom, grandmom, everything else. I just can't do it all on one day. And so we just have to decide, you know, what day it is.
That's right.
And you're working on one particular goal or another. But as long as you've got that ball rolling and you're working on the goals, it will all connect.
Yes, I love that. Well, I hope you've been jotting this information down, because we're very serious about helping you set goals and then put those specific steps in place to achieve those goals. After a few words from our sponsors, we'll be back and we'll tell you how to actually get started. We'll be right back.
Tired of hearing automated answering services when you have questions about auto, home, renters, motorcycle, or life insurance? Call the Bryant Insurance Agency, where you will always receive a representative ready to answer your questions and provide friendly customer service just for you. Call today for a quick quote at 803-642-8505 or visit us at 909 Daugherty Road in Aiken. Takia and her staff are ready to serve you.
Total Women's Healthcare means treating the women physically, emotionally, and everything in between. At Magnolia Medical Women's Center, we treat and diagnose common and unusual medical problems related to female health. Magnolia Medical Center is a premium high-level obstetrics and gynecology clinic for women of all ages. Our clients receive the time they deserve without feeling rushed and unimportant. We are located in the Aiken Medical Center, 410 University Parkway in Aiken, Suite 2300. Call us today at 803-649-6366.
Next time on Education Matters, learn about South Carolina's Tuition Grants Program and how full-time students can receive free money, yes, I said it, free money to be used toward college tuition. Mark your calendars for Education Matters with Donna Moore Wesby daily at 7 a.m. Money, yes, I said it, free money to be used toward college tuition. Mark your calendars for Education Matters with Donna Moore Wesby daily at 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 11 p.m. right here on ASTV Channel 95.
When it comes to grilling, I'm the man. Using Dawn Seasoning Delight, I'm the grill master.
My seasoning is available at Kroger, Bi-Lo, Food Line, Reeds, and Harvest. Look for it on display in the meat department. Also visit seasoningdelight.com for information and recipes. Dawn Seasoning Delight. It's so good.
Dawn Seasoning Delight is so good.
Does your child or grandchild need help in reading or math, or can benefit from preparatory coursework for the HSAP, ACT, or SAT? If so, contact the Barner Group Educational Associates. Our staff specializes in formatting an individualized approach to assisting your child academically. We offer low-cost tutorial services and educational programs. Participants may qualify for free services. To learn more, call for Alicia Cuthbertson of the Barner Group Educational Associates, 1-888-TBG-3996.
Welcome back inside of Education Matters. If you're just joining us today, my guest is Miss Liz Stewart, leadership and business consultant, and today she is helping us learn how to set goals and stick to them. Well, Miss Liz, you've provided us with some great information so far. How do we get started?
Well, there are a lot of neat things you can do. Probably the first thing to do is, as you had ended our last session, set aside some time to really think about what you're doing, to outline and reflect your goals, your dreams, and think about the big picture. You know, what do you want to say your life has been like 10, 15 years from now? Not just what, and people say, well, things happen, I can't control that. Well, you know, we can't control what does happen, but we surely can control setting goals that help us deal with what happens.
Right.
And the people who do get what they want are the people who have decided what their goals are, not waited for somebody else to impose it on them.
Amen to that.
So I think that's very important. I think the next thing is you determine what your areas of strength are. Now, this one is important to me, and it's maybe a little counterintuitive, because people usually look at their weaknesses when they're setting goals. And I think we should do that too. But I like to start with your strengths.
I like that.
Because the strengths, you know, first of all, if you're going to make a change in your life, it is so much easier to leverage what you're already good at.
Okay.
To make that next change. So think about what your strengths are and think, well, how can I take that to the next level?
Yeah.
That will really help us overcome some of the weaknesses.
And then it'll also give us, as you said earlier, it'll give us some quick successes build up that confidence.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And then you have to identify what you enjoy doing. We are all better at something we like doing. I think the challenge is to look at what you are doing and find something you like in everything. Every job has parts of it that you don't like.
Right.
Every relationship has days that you don't like, but we need to focus on what we did enjoy.
Okay.
And then you have to set some short-term and some long-term. Think about a day, a week, a month, because then if you start seeing quicker successes, it is a snowball, and it will really encourage us and motivate us and inspire us. If you have had a success, builds that self-confidence. I know I can do it. I can make this other goal happen. And, you know, looking at a 2-year goal, people in life today are saying, gosh, things are so uncertain, I can't think. I have one friend who has a daughter I've talked to for 5 years, and for 5 years she has said, oh, if I could just get it together to finish Aiken Tech. And I'm sitting, it's a 2-year program, it's been 5 years. If you just, you know, she said, I just don't know what's going to happen. If you just get started, you would be done.
That's right.
So it is important to just think long term and to get it done. I've always said to her, look, in 2 years you'll have a degree. If you don't do anything in 2 years, you'll be sitting here talking about having
That's
a degree,
right. That's
which
right.
is what she has done. So I'm not done yet. We're hoping we can continue to inspire her.
Well, that's good. Let me ask a question here. Is it for individuals who've never stopped to set goals for themselves before? They've just been living day to day and whatever happens, happens. For those people who've never set goals before, would you recommend that they start with the short-term goals,
Absolutely.
achieve success, and then add a long-term goal?
Absolutely, because if you've never done it, setting the short-term goals will actually be a process to help you define what those long-term goals should be.
All right.
I don't know that if you've never done it, I don't think you can decide what the long-term ones would be right away. So that's a great piece of advice.
Okay.
And then I think we look at scheduling time to accomplish your goals. Now, you know, it's hard to talk about goal setting without mentioning time management.
Oh, yes, I got to ring my bell on that one.
It is absolutely critical. And I have, you know, a thought I always share. If you look at your calendar, whether it's on your iPhone or whether you've got paper and pencil, ask yourself this: how many meetings and appointments do I miss if they're on my calendar? Well, the answer is usually none. So my point is, schedule time with yourself on your calendar to do the things you need to do to accomplish your goal.
Well, I know, particularly men, I know a lot of men who stray away from things like that, utilizing a calendar, trying to be organized to that level because they feel as if, well, I don't want my time to be set by someone else, or I don't want to live by a calendar or live by a schedule. What would be your thoughts about that?
Well, you know, if you don't have your calendar, you are living by somebody else's. Because whoever's got it down on the calendar is going to ask you to do the things they need for you to do.
Okay.
So rather than being constrained, I think of using a calendar for this purpose as a very empowering and freeing process, because it means you're in charge of your time. You know, we only have so much time, and you can either choose to spend it wisely, waste it, or allow other people's needs to be imposed on your time.
Which actually goes back to the challenge I issued earlier about not letting this year be a year where you're waiting, where you're needing, wanting, or wishing, or dreaming. Go ahead and take advantage now. And oftentimes, people will use time management as an excuse for not achieving goals. Well, I don't have enough time to pray. I don't have enough time to read my Bible. I don't have enough time to volunteer or to be a mentor. And in actuality, it's really not about that.
When somebody says, I don't have enough time to do those things, then my reaction is, no, actually, you haven't decided they're important.
All right, all right.
Because if they have value to you and they are important, you know, we make time for what is important.
Yes, yes.
And we do. What it says is that you're choosing to watch an hour of TV instead of being in a Bible study. Or you are it's all about choices.
It's all about choices.
And so
I love it.
The calendar just merely is a reminder
of the choices
that you have assigned a value to.
That's right.
That's what the core is.
Excellent.
That's why that first step was think about what's important to you.
Exactly.
You know, that's really critical.
And that's real talk.
That is.
That's real talk.
That's real talk.
All right.
All right, and then we have a couple more. If you recognize and deal with stress, because stress is a big inhibitor. Stress uses up more of our calendar than we'd like to think. And so we need to figure out some ways. That's an important one there in terms of time management.
Right.
Start small. We've talked about that. Write it down. I want to say that again because it's so important.
Sure.
Focus on one goal at a time. Today may be the day that I focus on this particular, you know, on one of my spiritual goals, or tomorrow might be career day. Actually, today's career day.
Yeah.
But and here's one of my really favorite ones: visualize success.
I love that.
Imagine what it will look like, feel like, when professionally you're sitting in the corner office and you have a window. Think about what you will feel like.
Hear that, Miss Cindy? You got to visualize that success.
And when you think about what you know, whatever your goal might be, think about what you will look like in that new slim 3 sizes smaller dress. Think about what you will look like and feel like when you are able to close the book and say, I have finished this, I have done this. That visualization, it really is inspirational.
Yes,
really
yes.
is.
I know, and this just came to me. One little thing that helps me toward achieving the bigger goal is I usually keep a list. Every day I usually have a list of these actions that I want to complete for that day that usually ties back to a greater goal.
Absolutely. You have to break it down into manageable, bite-sized pieces, and then you just cross them off the list.
I love to cross off. I just love that.
Do too. But let me offer a caution about those lists. Make
Okay.
sure that they are little tasks, not a great big project. People say, well, gosh, I only had 5 things on my list and I didn't get any of them. Well, 5 things may have been huge.
Right.
And they may have had 100 little tasks, so no wonder you didn't get it done.
Exactly.
So pick them small and pick just a few.
I love that. That last one, visualize success.
Visualize success, very important.
We've got to encourage ourselves. You know, there's enough, and I say it all the time on this broadcast, there's enough negativity in this world today. If you can have that vision, there are 2 catalysts for change, vision or crisis. And in my life, I choose to try to have vision and not allow a crisis to then determine my destiny. And that's what I offer to you today as we're talking about these goals. One other point that I want to make sure we emphasize is the importance of patience and endurance with yourself and working toward these goals. Talk to us about that.
Well, you do have to have stamina, and I will add on to what you say that I really think a crisis is just somebody else's vision imposed on you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think in building stamina, you need to have some sense of how long it will take. I think that frame of mind is helpful. For example, if you say, I'm going to finish college in a year, that's not realistic, so you're going to set yourself up for failure. But if you've got it time bound and if it's realistic, then I feel that you can prevent some of that negativity, because there's a lot out there. And you know what? Surround yourself with people who support your goal, because you've made it visible, you have posted it.
Right.
I send mine out to a group of people that I call my cheerleaders,
I like
and
that.
I know that they will every once in a while call me up and say, how you doing? You been on
Hold
that
your
horse
feet to the
yet? You
fire.
been there?
Yeah.
And that's that accountability.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you don't do that, it's too easy for it to just go by the wayside.
Now, what advice would you give to those who have started working toward a goal and did not meet it? Say they wanted to achieve this goal in a particular time frame, and the time frame came and passed, and they've not met that goal. What's the next step?
Well, that's when you really reevaluate it and ask yourself, well, why didn't I meet it? Was it because I didn't spend the time on it? Or was it some external influence? Maybe I had, and I hear this a lot today, with a lot of the layoffs because of the economy. A lot of people are saying, well, I'm having to do 2 people work at, at my job. And so if you have extra demands made on you, just analyze what was it. If it wasn't that you didn't care or that it isn't important, maybe it's as simple as you just didn't guess right on how long you budgeted to do it. So extend it. But by reviewing it, you're really saying, is this important enough to continue?
Okay.
And look at how much progress you have made. Take some joy out of the success, even if it's a partial one.
Right,
Don't
that's
call
a
it a
good-
failure. And just say, the only failure is maybe I misjudged how long it will take me. I'm going to add 6 months to it, but I'm going to continue working on it because it's important.
Right, that's exactly right. And I want to further emphasize or to state right here that the discussion we're having today is not just for adults. Setting goals and learning how to stick to them. The earlier we are able to expose our children to the process of goal setting, then I believe the more adjusted they'll be as an adult, certainly to the changes in life, but also realizing some success early on. How can a parent utilize the information we've shared thus far to help their children learn how to set goals?
Well, you know, I think it's even more important today for children than ever before. As you know better than most, within the school system, the time frame within which children have to make decisions about their future careers is getting younger and younger. And so I think it's very important to sit down with them and help them define what some of those goals are, because that's how they're going to make some of those decisions.
Right.
And decisions that are in line with the goals that you have set are infinitely more likely to be the right ones.
That's good.
So I think having some conversations with them, having some conversations around what's important to them and how they maintain their balance. You know, today children have almost as many demands made on them as an adult does.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And with them not understanding how to manage that time, how to have little successes, it could get to become very overwhelming for our young people.
It certainly can. You know, I had a realization when a really good friend of mine had a 3-year-old in daycare and couldn't understand why she was tired all the time, and it occurred to me that child has a much longer day than my friend did, because she gets dropped off earlier at daycare and picked up after the end of her day. So that, I mean, we are putting a lot on them, and I think it is very helpful to begin the process as early as possible, even with, you know, all right, here's the chores you have to do, and here's what you have to do, your homework, and then you want to go play with your friends. Start thinking about how you prioritize all of those and how you get it all done. It's never too young to start thinking about goal setting.
That's right, and you said a key word, Miss Liz, and that is prioritization. After we hear from our sponsors, we'll talk about that, because somebody here today watching has several goals, but they don't know which one to start on first. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Hi there, this is Dr. Margot Muniz, and we're here today for Magnolia Medical's Women's Health Tip. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about abnormal uterine bleeding. Abnormal uterine bleeding is quite common, and I would assume that it occurs pretty much to all of us at some point in time in our life. We've all had that embarrassing accident, you know, where you have your friend sneak up behind you and kind of walk behind you out of the church. A lady who's having a continuous problem with heavy menstrual bleeding, irregular bleeding, who is bleeding more than 2 times a month, or is changing their pad and or tampon every hour to 2 hours, is bleeding too much. And this is a very common problem and can be caused by multiple things. A lot of ladies just assume it's them, it's normal, it's been like that their whole life. It is entirely easy to evaluate and treatable. A lot of ladies are afraid to get it assessed because they're afraid that it's going to result in a hysterectomy. We have a myriad of very easy, minimally invasive treatments available to control heavy menstrual bleeding and return you back to normal life activities without having to worry about little accidents, and allow you to wear white just like in the commercials. So you have a pleasant day, and we'll talk to you next week. This is Dr. Muniz. Thank you.
Total Women's Healthcare means treating the women physically, emotionally, and everything in between. At Magnolia Medical Women's Center, we treat and diagnose common and unusual medical problems related to female health. Magnolia Medical Center is a premium high-level obstetrics and gynecology clinic for women of all ages. Our clients receive the time they deserve without feeling rushed and unimportant. We are located in the Aiken Medical Center, 410 University Parkway in Aiken, Suite 2300. Call us today at 803-649-6366.
Tired of hearing automated answering services when you have questions about auto, home, renters, motorcycle, or life insurance? Call the Bryant Insurance Agency, where you will always receive a representative ready to answer your questions and provide friendly customer service just for you. Call today for a quick quote at 803-642-8505 or visit us at 909 Daughtery Road in Aiken. Takia and her staff are ready to serve you.
Welcome back. Well, we've already learned what a goal is. We've learned the difference between a goal and a resolution. Why is it even necessary to set goals? We've talked about the benefits of setting goals. And we've even told you a little bit on how to get started. Miss Liz, if you will, explain to us how do we even prioritize our goals? If we have multiple goals, how do we know what to start on first?
Well, and I do have a slide on this one. The way that we align them and prioritize them is really understanding one key question. What does anyone really want in life?
That's a good question.
I think the answer falls into two categories. We want achievement and we want enjoyment.
Okay.
We want to have success, we want to be empowered, we want to achieve some things, and then we just, want to enjoy life. I haven't met anybody that says I'd like to mope through life and be miserable. So those are two things that we, want to do. So how do you do this? Well, the first thing is it comes back to values.
Yes.
You have to absolutely decide what is important.
Yes.
If you have done that life wheel, the star of life, and you have looked at all of those goals within each one of those categories, then you have to say, all right, which ones will take me longer? Which ones are quicker? Which ones will I need outside help? Which ones will I do myself? If you're saying on the physical one, if you want to exercise, well, that's yourself. You've got to motivate yourself to get up and go do it.
Right.
So that's dependent on you. But the one you shared, for example, that was work-related required others to help you. So those are some of the ways that I look at prioritizing. What is it going to take to get it done? Let's prioritize the ones that I can control, get those quick, short wins in. I'll feel successful. And at the same time, I'm reaching out to other people.
Right.
If you sort of figure a timeline, you've got them all spaced out so that you're working on all of them a little bit, but you're going to reach them all at different times.
Okay, all right, that's good stuff there. I'm really, really loving today's topic because I truly believe that there are many people watching today who are ready for a change. They're ready to do something different. That definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting different results. Well, this is the year because the time is now for you to do some things differently. And what better way to do some things differently than to set some goals? You have an awesome graphic that talks about the balance that we all need to strive to achieve. Talk us through this graphic.
That's why you want to prioritize, because what we want to do is achieve a balance. Our lives are not happy, they're not complete, they're not satisfied, and we are not contributing the most we can until we have a balance. This graphic strikes me because these three young women are extremely well balanced, almost to perfection, and I doubt any of us are going to have all things in our life balanced to this.
That's right.
But this is a picture I have up on it's my screensaver so that I can remember that my goal is to be in balance.
To achieve balance, yeah.
And the other message I get out of this graphic that is really important for somebody getting started is be flexible. We have to be flexible and shift as things happen to us. But you can still shift and maybe take a little detour, but not take your eye off that goal.
That's right. And a prime example, and I used this earlier today, is as an individual, you may have had a career goal to achieve within a year or 2 years, and then within that year, you then find yourself having to take care of an elderly parent who requires round-the-clock attention and care. So obviously, you may not achieve that particular goal in that time period, but that's where that flexibility comes in.
That's exactly right. But if you don't take your eye off that goal, then what you will do is not say, well, I can't do it.
Right.
What you need to say is, I need to think of more flexible ways that I can accomplish that end. Perhaps I can get some part-time help in. Perhaps I can do some work by, working at home on the telephone and the computer.
Right.
You just figure out alternative ways to achieve it as opposed to eliminating it.
Right, right. Okay. Now, obviously, you've talked to us about some personal goals as well as professional goals. What is the best way to align those goals, the personal and the professional?
I think that if you start by writing down the personal, you will get there very simply, because here's what happens. Our professional goals usually yield more success. The reason is they're more likely to be written down, to have expectations and accountabilities assigned to them, and you have somebody who's checking on it to make sure you do it.
Right.
Now, if we just apply
And it's tied to money.
And it's tied to money. It's called a job. And so we have those as requirements. So I think now if we do the same thing in a personal setting and just have those same goals, you know, they're written down, we follow that same practice, then they'll be aligned. I think that they're disproportionate now because we're just not applying the same process in both areas.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I know for me, what helps me work toward my personal goals is understanding that when I'm better, I'm able to better assist others because I have this intrinsic desire to help others. And so if my health is better, then that means I could possibly be here longer to help more people. You know, if I do a better job of Education Matters, then the more people who are open to the information and the knowledge, who may then be able to do better things with their lives too. So that's good. That's excellent.
Absolutely.
Any last words for those who are still a little fearful? Because one of the things that I found is there are people who will not set goals for fear of failure, okay, but also fear of success.
Fear of success is a big one. Well, it is all about self-talk, and it is how you look at things. So I do have a couple of final thoughts I will share with you here.
Wonderful.
Something about self-talk is how you put your mindset, your frame of mind out there.
You can do it.
You can do it. You need to, if you are enthusiastic, it leads you to good experiences, which lead to expertise, which leads to success and excellence. And I will tell you, one of my favorite quotes that I always like to share is by Muhammad Ali. And he said, I was saying I'm the greatest long before I believed it. And so we need to be thinking ahead. What is it we want to say about ourselves next year, the year after? And let's work to it.
Yes, let's work to it. Let's get to it. As the young kids say, let's be about it, all right? And we want you to know today that you can do it. Yeah, it'll take a little work, it'll take some sacrifice, it'll take some self-reflection, and sometimes when we pause to take a look at ourselves, we may not always enjoy what we see, but that's a wonderful step toward setting some goals, all right? And we talked about that. Don't be afraid to succeed. Don't be afraid to even fail, because oftentimes it's in failure that breeds other opportunities for us to succeed. So you make sure you utilize the steps that have been shared by Ms. Liz Stewart today. We're so grateful for you being with us. Yes, as a reminder, this program will rebroadcast 3 times a day. Go to my website, edmat.com. Look at that word of the week and the tip of the week. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Donna Moore Westby, your host of Education Matters, where we're connecting you to the world of education one step at a time. Have a great day. Set those goals. Good job.
If you are interested in becoming an individual or corporate sponsor of Education Matters or to receive sponsorship information, call Donna Moore Westby at 803-507-6793 or send an email to dwesby@edmat.com.